Hi, it's Alex Cosper with SacTV.com's Riverside Chat. Here are some of my favorite radio interviews here in Sacramento on KWOD. So what do you think about, it seems like in the 90s there's like this lo-fi movement going on where things aren't as produced as they were in the 80s.
Well, I think it's just a natural sort of progression. I think the lo-fi, in terms of things sound a little more natural now than they did in the 80s. It got to a point where things sounded kind of glossy and big old slick and big banging, and that's not how bands really sound.
Right.
Although there's an art and a craft to those kind of records, and I think there probably still is a place for that. But bands don't really sound that way.
Do you think the public overall began to see through like all the bells and whistles in production?
I think so. And I think also the same way that maybe a few years down the road, people will get tired of hearing lo-fi records, and they're going to want to hear something a little different.
You know, the song Creep has generated so many opinions as to what it's about, what the mindset was about it. One interpretation is that it's about somebody who can't get what they want. Another might be someone who's cynical about someone that they want, but they're not going to even go after it. What is your interpretation?
Oh, I don't know, man. I was a drunken idiot when I wrote it. You know.
Was it based on any true life experience?
Oh yeah, all my songs are.
It's Weird Al Yankovic.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. Weird Al, how you doing?
Oh, just fine.
All right, so you have a new album out. It's called Alapalooza.
That's right.
And you've put out several albums, and they're usually parody songs on the albums, huh?
Well, all the albums are about half parodies and half originals, but hopefully they're all somewhat funny.
What do you think about your originals? Do you wish that your originals would get more recognition? Because it seems like songs like Eat It and stuff, they're the ones that get all the attention.
Yeah, well, I can understand that because they're more, you can latch onto them a little easier because you already know the melody. But, yeah, I guess that is kind of a pet peeve of mine that a lot of people still don't even know that I do my own music. So, yeah, it'd be nice if some of them got a little bit more attention.
Let me ask you about doing parodies. Do you have to get permission from the original songwriter to do that?
Yes, that's exactly what happens. We have to go to the original songwriter, not necessarily the artist, but in many cases, like Michael Jackson did write both Beat It and Bad, so we had to get his approval on those. But we have to go to the original songwriter and get their permission. And it's a separate deal for every single parody that I do. We have to cut a separate deal with them for royalties and things like that.
So they actually make money off of your recordings?
They make the big bucks off of it. Michael Jackson, he was just struggling until I came along.
KWOD 106.5, we're back with Andy Partridge of XTC. Andy, you want to talk with some people out there in Radioland?
Yeah, I just finished gargling with my coal dust there.
Okay, well, who do we have on the line right now?
Who do this be?
Who is there?
There's nobody there.
Are you referring to me?
Yeah, we're talking to you.
No,
oh, God,
we're
I
not
thought you were waiting for someone else to pick up the line. This is Jasmine.
We were trying to talk to the person behind you, my dear.
And I was thinking, oh, God, don't hang up.
Well, go ahead and ask Andy a question.
Anything. I'll admit to anything.
Oh, well, gosh, anything. This is going to be a bizarre question, but I really wanted to know if he could sign a CD for me.
Well, if you can get down here in the next 5 minutes, I'll sign anything.
Oh, next 5 minutes.
It's mortgage agreements, anything. You bring them down here.
Well, then I'll just ask a question. Across this ant heap?
Yeah,
Oh, what is that about?
I was only following orders. What's it about? I thought it was kind of obvious, but...
well, it is, but I want to make sure that I've got it.
Okay, it's about the world and all the people, and when you're a little insomniac and you start thinking about the entire history of everything in the history of everythingness, and it won't leave your brain!
That's what I thought, and I said, well, I better verify while I have the chance. Well, I'm more than excited. Probably a little too excited, so I'm going to let you talk to someone else.
Well, don't, just calm yourself down and cut out the caffeine, girl, and relax.
Thanks a lot, Jasmine.
Try some decaf.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, bye.
KWOD 106.5, who's this?
This is Charlie.
It's the same person.
Sounds like
Hello,
it.
Charlie.
Hi there. I really wanted to ask you a question about another song that I've been wondering about.
Yes.
Okay. Dear God is like one of my favorite songs.
Yes.
It really is. And I know what it means, but I was wondering Is that like your own personal view?
There's no heaven and no hell, and we have to be as good as possible and have as much fun down here, and cause everyone else to have as much fun as possible, and not let people scare the pants off you with this religious nonsense.
Okay.
All right, one more.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.
One more question.
There's
Quad
a sort of
106.5.
church on the air here.
Quad 106.5, who's this?
It's Rick.
Rick, what do you want to ask Andy?
Well, we pretty much got the idea what Peter Pumpkinhead told us. What do you feel about the present situation with politics? Think you can make any interesting songs out of this?
Politics is catch-22 taken to the nth degree, because all you can vote for are politicians, yet who'd want to vote for somebody who would be a politician?
Minimalism is back, right?
Less is more, very much so. Totally.
Right. Do you think that if you put too much into the music, it ruins it?
I think it can. Depends on how you do it. The more you put into it, the more careful you have to be, because it tends to get diluted that way. I think. Yeah. A few just real strong basic power chords can have a lot of punch. You know, it's like the Ramones are a great example of that.
So it's not any certain element of music that can get outdated. It's how it's treated, how people approach it. Like, do they come with it with a fresh angle?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally. I think that there's a cycle that keeps on going on throughout history where, like, rock and roll in the 50s was really very different, very rebellious.
It was counter to the mainstream.
Yeah, and then the same thing happened in the 60s with the Beatles and the Stones, and then the Sex Pistols were doing it again, and then bands like Nirvana and Green Day and Rollins have kind of been bringing more punk stuff out lately, Nine Inch Nails, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think music will... it trims itself once it gets so bloated, you know. It comes back to something a little leaner, a little stronger, and that's what's kind of happening with punk rock, I think.
Yeah. Danny Elfman, how you doing?
Hello.
All right, where are you calling from?
L.A.
All right, Danny. So nice to have you with us today.
Thank you. Nice to be back.
Yeah, and of course you have the new album coming out, Insanity, which is what, May 17th?
Yes, I believe that's true.
Okay. We'll talk more about that. But first, a lot of people are curious. What are you going by now? Is it Boingo now? Or is it Boingo for sure now? Or is it...
Well, yeah, I mean, because we switched labels, they asked, hey, you know, everybody just calls you Boingo, and you call yourselves Boingo. So you want to just call yourselves Boingo on this album? And we said, okay, sure. So, I mean, if you want to call us Oingo Boingo, it's fine. Oingo isn't officially on the album. We always did intend to cut the name in half if we survived past 10 years. And then if we survived another, then we would cut it in half again until eventually it just became Ngo. So we're on our way to that Ngo.
Quad 106.5, Alex Cosper backstage with Alanis Morissette. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
All right. I mean, a year ago when Jagged Little Pill came out, I think you came to San Francisco and you played Bottom of the Hill. Do you remember that experience?
Yeah, that was one of the best gigs I've ever had.
All right.
Yeah.
So do you think you'll ever get to do a show that small again?
Probably. Yeah, someday. I'd like to. Of course.
Yeah. Of course, you're playing at Cal Expo tonight. 14,000 people sold out. Jagged Little Pill, I think, approaching 10 million. At what point in the past year did you realize that this had exceeded your wildest dreams in America?
I think, to be honest, the point where it sort of exceeded anything I had hoped for was when we finished writing the record. I mean, there's two distinctly different worlds that I swim in, and one of them is the sort of internal world, which is the writing process and your own evolution and the new chords you learn on guitar or the new lyrics that just fly out of this inexplicable place. And then there's the external world, which is you know, awards and sales and charts. And that end of it, no one can control that, you know. So I don't bank on any of that, to be honest. It's nice, it's gratifying to know you're connecting with a lot of people and there's a lot of energy in the audiences, definitely, but it's not something that I'm motivated by now. I used to be when I was quite little. I thought that was the be-all and end-all, you know, but it's not. So it's I was pretty amazed when we finished it and I had sort of time to look back on the whole process. It was pretty overwhelming.
So tell us about My Sister, the inspiration behind that song.
The inspiration was the fact that I don't have a sister, and I always wanted one, and I always thought about what it would be like. So I wrote a song about what it might be like to have a sister.
Okay.
And it turned out sort of sad. It's kind of a sad song.
Sad and happy mixed together, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Quad 106.5 Nirvana with All Apologies. I'm Alex Cosper, and Social Distortion played last night in San Francisco. They're playing again tonight in Palo Alto, and with me on the line right now is lead singer Mike Ness.
How's it going, Alex?
Pretty good. How are you, Mike?
Pretty good.
All right. It's been a long time, it seems, since your last album. I guess it must feel good to be back on the road, huh?
Yeah, it feels good. I mean, we took a little time off, and, you know, the record took a little bit longer than, you know, we expected. But, you know, I don't feel that we could have made this record 2 years ago.
Okay.
You know, I think that it happened the way that it was supposed to. And, you know, we kind of like to go retrieve underground, you know, every now and then, you know, when things start to get, you know...
too exaggerated.
Yeah, you know, it's like... It's just, you know, the limelight and all the commerciality of it, you know, it's like... It's time to go back.
Yeah, rediscover something raw.
Yeah.
Huh?
It was just kind of you know, we moved forward, but in so many ways we wanted to kind of just step backwards, you know, reestablish our primary roots. And, you know, the last thing we wanted to do was put out a cute alternative record, you know.
Some cookie cutter pop record.
Yeah.
KWOD Sacramento, I'm AC popping in one more time because I have a surprise for you. In the studio right now with us is Toad the Wet Sprocket.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah, so Dean Dinning, the bass player and background vocalist, and Glen Phillips, lead vocalist and guitar player. They're both here. Good to have you guys here.
Morning. Hey, it's good to be here.
Santa Barbara, what a nice place to be from.
Yeah, we'd like to live there someday, as we've said.
Well, have you spent a lot of time away from there lately?
Yeah, in the last 12 months, we've spent 10 on the road, and we have 2 more to go. But we get the occasional day. We got to play there last night, except we arrived in the morning and left right after the show.
You guys must be pretty excited about the success of All I Want.
Yeah, it's kind of weird and surprising more than anything. I don't know. It's a happy little song, but...
Because I know there's some stations that play real soft music. They think that song's too weird for them.
Yeah, well, adult contemporary, I don't know. It's been kind of a strange song just because it's not really a typical Toad song. We usually murder happy-sounding songs before they get that far.
And in the studio with me right now, Ian Astbury, formerly of The Cult, now of the Holy Barbarians. How you doing?
Fine. Bit tired, actually.
All right.
Got up at 6:30 to fly up here to do the interview, so...
All right.
Bit giggly.
You look a lot different than, like, in the 80s.
I hope so. I hope so, mate.
So,
it's 1996.
Yeah.
So, you evolve.
Okay.
Should have seen me when I was 11. I was a Bowie kid. I used to wear, like, purple flares, and I used to have, like, blue food colour in my hair. I was into, like, Ziggy Stardust and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I've always evolved.
So, do you think that through time you want to be more like yourself or more like other rock stars?
See, I've been doing this since I was like 17 or 18, so I've never really been conscious of being a rock star.
Okay.
Inverted commas. It's been my life. So, from the point where I was involved in punk rock, I used to work for a band called The Ruts. I used to follow a band called Crass. I was very much heavily involved in the punk rock community in England in the late 70s, like 14, 15, 16 years old. It's been my life, and I don't really consider myself to be a rock star or, you know, anything like that. It's a way of life for me. So
even when you were with The Cult?
No, not at all. I mean, The Cult for me was part of my life, you know. I mean, I think that it was the view of a lot of people that The Cult was some sort of like crass rock, you know, thing, and it was part of my life, you know. It was just what I was doing at that particular point in my life. I've done that and doing what I'm doing now, which is, I wouldn't say it's diametrically opposed, but it is much more progressive and maybe a little bit more harking back to the Love album in terms of originality, and certainly more left field as opposed to, you know, hard rock, which was what The Cult was thought of as in the late 80s, but that was more, I think, to do with the aesthetic image of The Cult, the fact that I had long hair and wore hipster leather pants and stuff.